Hey, good morning, Ronit. So I woke up this morning and I read the news, and there's a scene in Genesis when Jacob finds out that Joseph is alive, and the way it's presented, and certainly the way the sages of the Talmud understand it, is that Jacob, when he finds out this news, he doesn't believe it because it's too much. The first reaction is disbelief.
Right.
Which is interesting. When you wait for so long for something, when it happens, the first thing you feel is disbelief. And that's kind of how I felt this morning when I woke up and saw that President Trump had made this deal. So, I mean, what's your reaction to all this?
I guess you would expect that we would be like with champagne and just it to
Mm,
me and celebrating and just being very happy. I'm happy, but I mean, obviously, but well, I want to wait until I see them, coming home and I want to see them, they're saying it's on Monday. I think then I will be able to maybe elevate myself a little bit and
mm.
just kind of be extremely happy. Because right now, I mean, I woke up and, I was going around my house, just said to everybody, oh, they're coming home, they're coming home. So we were just, I was happy, but it's a bit
I just
subdued.
pause on that you say to your family they're coming home. I
Yeah,
mean, it's just so personal, no?
because they've become, I think, they're part of us and people don't realize that this is what the war is about. We have people who are like me,
Mm.
people who were kidnapped. I just remember the beginning of the war where there were children hostages and they looked so much like my children. And I remember I have this vivid
Mm.
image of me just walking to their room and looking at because they were snatched while they were in bed and just looking at my children and just thinking, this could have been me. Like this could have been my children. So there was something very personal about it. And you see those, the hostages, you their names are names of people that it's almost like, I mean, people don't realize how small Israel is, and it could have been any of us, really. So I think they're coming home. I mean, they're not coming to my personal home, but they're coming home. Yes, they are. And I think that's how we feel. And I think we're very, very happy. But I say it and I listen to my tone and it isn't a very happy tone because I need to see them. I need to physically like see them coming home. Then I can breathe um and then I can look around and see where we're at, and then start to think what next. I think we've been stuck in that limbo.
So when you say the war was about the hostages, and I just think of our enemies who remain our enemies, and I know social media doesn't, it's anecdotal in the best possible way, meaning you never know what is being, who is represented by what's being said. But a lot of people in my feed are talking about the way in which, Israel killed 20,000, 40,000, 60,000 for these 1,200 hostages. So, I mean, how does that affect what when you say, well, the war was about the hostages?
Of course, there is devastation for killing of children. I mean, we do. I mean, it's horrible. It's horrifying. But I this thing
Mm.
that happened on October 7th just completely changed us.
It
And
was like
it
we
it
were,
all
it was like we were raped as a country. It was like a violation.
it was a violation, and and I think the shock of the world just turning on us so quickly. And I think, I mean, okay, it the shock at a certain point wasn't that they turned on us. The shock was that we didn't realize it will happen eventually. I think that's what was surprising. Um, and we've been, the past 2 years, I mean, all we wanted was the hostages back and then just say, okay, enough, and then
Mm.
just see where we can go from there. And I think such a monumental moment. And and we're happy. I'm happy.
So is the war over?
No, No, I don't think the war is over. I think we're in for the aftershock of what happened, and I think the struggle will continue. And I think maybe that's the state of mind that we need to be in, so this won't happen again. Um, I don't think that lightness that we felt, or I mean, it's the lightness. What I mean, the lightness is just this carefree, it's almost like just living where you have small things that you're concentrating on. I don't know, my kids have getting good grades, my kids being, happy, me, getting to work, whatever. I think those things are just so much clouded with
Mm.
this heavy burden of survival and resilience and hatred that's coming from everywhere. Um, I don't think we'll ever be able to kind of pop that bubble.
Mm.
I don't think I would. I think I'm always going to be cautious now. It's a shame, isn't it? It's sad. It makes me sad. I'm thinking about it. It really, really makes me sad.
Well, listen, that's
But
your
I'm
key.
happy. It's just like I am happy. I'm just so happy for those
No, because
families.
our happiness now is so muted by all the things we've been through, and it almost feels like it's a betrayal of the suffering and pain to be happy. I mean, from people in your community, people who have suffered losses, terrible losses, and we were saying earlier, all news in Israel, all news is local news. So when something happens, all national news is local news, all local news is national news. So when it's not like we don't continue to feel the trauma. So does Balagan take a different direction? Do we change what we're doing now? I mean, we were born on October 7th. I mean, not exactly, but like 2 weeks after. Your life and my life changed after that, as did everybody else's who reads Balagan. So what happens now?
That's a very interesting question because we will continue because what we want to do is to show the complexity of what's happening here. And we do it through art and creativity and thoughtfulness. So that
Mm.
will continue. Um, I
Why is that so important now, this creative aspect?
because we don't have other platforms, because everything is closing in. Because if you look at The Guardian
Mm.
today, it's a picture of there's a photograph of just, it's like it doesn't even say peace, it says agreement. And then there's like photos of Gaza, of Gaza, of Gaza. So it's like I don't matter. My voice doesn't matter again. Because so that's why it's depressing because we're so happy. I mean, again, it's just, I realize there's a dissonance between my tone and what I'm saying,
Mm.
but we want this to be over. So, I mean, really, but it's not gonna, I think the world's hatred is not gonna fade. It's not like gonna stop like magic. So now we have to find out who we are and then redefine ourselves. And
Mm.
we do that in Balagan. It's not just about what happened. It's about who we are right now, and it's a curve. And I hope
Mm.
the curve goes up, but it's a curve. So I think it's appropriate that the next issue would be about hope. Now,
Mm.
hope could be something very small. It doesn't have to be, world peace, which of
You
course that
know.
would be
So
great,
once you
but
talk
it could be
about hope
something
for
small.
world peace, you've kind of nullified hope. It just becomes a cliche. So
Right.
we're not going to be doing that.
No, but I think we all woke up a bit taller today. So that's
Even though our hearts are really heavy still, I think that's part of it, right? We feel this upward movement and then this downward movement at the same time, physically.
be because also we're fearful into what does this agreement means. I mean, it's not like it's a peace agreement. It's a ceasefire. It's just stop the war. It isn't, does it
It's a
really
hudna.
offer hope?
In Arabic, hudna is a temporary ceasefire. It's, I mean, for
Right,
centuries, meaning the
right.
war's not over. It's just that we need to regroup. And we have to be aware of that mentality here as well. That, nobody sat around a coffee table and had coffee and donuts and shook hands. No, that's not gonna, that was the Oslo agreements essentially. And we know that that language doesn't work in this part of the world.
Um, I mean, you do. I'm a firm believer that you do. You make peace. You do agreements with the enemy. You don't do them with friends because you don't need to. So I do believe in talking to the other side. I think it's necessary. I think it's the only way. Um, so, but hope is almost like, that light that you see. And it could be very vague and it could be very far. And but it's you stride
Mm.
into it. But what does it mean about yourself, about who you are, about what you like? I don't know what the future holds. Like I don't. It's not like the Berlin Wall will be crushing down and you see it just, brick by brick and it's not that. So we're cautious. We're extremely happy that they're coming home. I mean, I can't even tell you like they're coming
No,
home.
okay, and we're not even ready for, for Monday. I mean, Monday is before the Chag, which is interesting as well for people who
Yes.
don't know. It will be exactly 2 years since that Simchat Torah. But I think, I'm going to go into the WeWork where I used to work, just because I want to be there with those people because we were all watching the hostages who were released over the past year or whatever, 2 years, together on this screen. And I want to be near the coffee shop that I go to where Eitan Moore, who's one of the living hostages, used to make coffee for me every day. I mean, these are the things that are really like, it's as you said, it's just all very, very personal.
It's personal and I think it's going to be a day of celebration, but of also sadness.
Mm.
Um, because we don't know what to expect. It's also going to be coming, like, coffins are going to be coming back
Out
to
of the
us.
50 hostages that we talk about, bring them all home. I think they say 20 are alive if they can locate all of them. I mean, this is the people we're dealing with. Just to conclude with this idea of hope, and I think hope is what Jews have always felt um, in Galut, before there was a state of Israel. And what you talk about, that it's like the hope on a vanishing horizon. It's there and you aspire towards it, but it's always evasive. But it's that aspiration towards that I think keeps us alive, even though it can always vanishes. And I also, I think it's hard for people to understand really why, or maybe for some to understand why Balagan is so important to us. And I think that's because we think that reality is too complicated for the other genres of writing, polemic, argument, sentiment, allegory. Allegory is like, where politics becomes a fairy tale. And there are so many people in Israel of all political stripes who take advantage of our desire for simplicity and our desire for single narratives that make everything go away. And I think for the future, and this is why poetry is so important. And what I mean by poetry is not just reading, the great poems we have or the essays we have. It's almost a way of being. It's an attitude. It's an attitude which takes in complexity. And when you read the pieces in Balagan, your piece, for example, I mean, talk about ambiguity or ambivalence. Tel Aviv Mon Amour, which is really a celebration of Tel Aviv, but also an elegy for Tel Aviv. So when you read our stuff, it's not like you say, "Oh, I agree with that." You say, "Oh, this is making me take something into account that I hadn't before. It's making me see that, the world does require this poetic sentiment or sensibility, by which I just mean things are complicated. And poetry does that. It stops short at giving answers. Um,
Yeah.
and I think and we can't underestimate how important this is. And that's why our community is growing. And we should have hope. And hopefully on Monday, we'll see these guys come home.
Yes, that would be, I mean, that would be uplifting. We've waited so long for them. I mean, it's like our children are coming back. V'shavu banim legvulam. It's really it's I think we're gonna all be holding our breath, and I think it's gonna be such an interesting experience across Israel because it's such a collective, it will be
Mm.
a collective moment, and it would be one that we will remember forever, and it will shape us in a way. I mean, every little thing that happens shapes us, but this is, I don't, it like you said, it's on Simchat Torah where it's a day where nobody works. So, I mean, it's almost like a setup for that. It's where we're all going to be glued
You're
to the
right. And,
TV.
and I know, listen, in my little community on Simchat Torah, if the hostages, God willing, they'll be released, there will be, a different kind of joy.
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy. I am. I
My,
am. I am
my favorite
happy.
line in I think Hamlet or in all of literature is the lady doth protest too much. If you say,
Right. No, but I am though. It's just, yeah, it's so, it's convoluted. It's just everything in there. And now is the time to hopefully, from the word hope, hopefully is now is the time to just regroup. Okay. And then search,
I like that
for,
also because the idea of regrouping says that, we were stuck. And I think that's what we felt all summer long is just fatigue and exhaustion and a lack of any sense of that dim glow of the future. It was completely obscured. And now maybe we have it again. Sababa.